Hey everyone. I've kind of realized that I really just want to use this as an outlet whenever I have something I want to say or contribute regarding updates, gameplay, or just community related topics. Which led me to wanting to address something that happened very recently, specifically a response video from the YouTuber and streamer Huuge to some recent drama kickstarted on Reddit. I don't think the drama itself is that interesting or noteworthy, but specifically the response and the way it's structured. There's a lot of things problematic with it, regardless of whether you believe Huge is a dishonorable D ranker or in the right with this explanation. These problems are something I want to highlight simply for the purpose of drawing attention to what to look out for in a response, be it to drama, criticism, or accusations. Before I begin, I recommend reading the original Reddit post and watching Huge's response video to better understand where I'm coming from and to see firsthand what I'm going to be referring to. I'll link both in the description of the video for anyone that wants to catch up on the situation first. Alright, first let's quickly go over the situation. A few days ago, someone created a post on the Hunt Showdown subreddit detailing how Huge, mostly known for his videos regarding cheating in Hunt, I'd argue, is proven to be abusing the MMR system to downrank and play easier matches against way worse players. The post links to a Twitch VOD of another streamer who ran into Huge in a 3-star match. Since Huge usually hides his MMR from his viewers, this was quite an upset to a lot of the community of the Twitch sphere. Mostly because of Huge's skill displayed on stream and in his YouTube videos, with him also having been observed as 5 to 6-star player previously. This video is a response to the accusations and aims to explain Huge's experience with the MMR system and shine some light on the practice of content creation in Hunt media in general. The video starts with a declaration why Huge feels obligated to share his side of things in a video regarding the Reddit post. He also proceeds to take on the position of the victim by claiming that the post itself violates the rules of the subreddit it was posted on. This immediately paints the post as unjustified, as it's been submitted in bad faith, according to that claim. However, Huge is actually incorrect on the post violating those rules. The portion of the comment he screenshotted cleverly excludes the actual explanation of the post being allowed. The mod explains that public figures like streamers should be held to a higher standard as ambassadors and voice of the community, thus not being protected by the rule in question. This can also be found on the long form text of the rule, found under a link in the description of Rule 6. Note, this wasn't just updated amidst this situation, but actually some time ago. This pretty much could only have been done intentionally to misconstrue the rules of the subreddit in order to navigate himself into the position of a victim of an unjustified attack against his character, accusing him of deranking on purpose, thus harming the integrity of the matchmaking system. The next section of the video, structurally speaking, is devoted to showing the original stream VOD the screenshot for the post was taken from. Huge chooses to show the gameplay leading up to the post-match screen displaying Huge's MMR. The gameplay itself, however, isn't really relevant to the discussion of what Huge is doing playing in this MMR bracket, more precisely how he got there. However, it serves another purpose incredibly well. It functions to further put him in the position of the victim in this scenario. Huge chooses to show the gameplay from the other streamer's point of view first. The reason for this is the verbally abusive interaction the other streamer, named Archaic, tries to engage in with Huge. With Huge having his VoIP turned off, though, the verbal abuse is only observable from Archaic's point of view. It's easy to anticipate that this kind of verbal abuse and toxic behavior will shed a negative light on Archaic in this situation, rightfully so. This behavior, especially on stream, should definitely earn Archaic a Crytek mandated break from the game at the very least. This is not what banter looks like and doesn't have a place in the game. However, his deplorable behavior doesn't detract from the point of the post, as mentioned before. The gameplay from Archaic's stream, however, is easy to weaponize in a manner of painting yourself as the victim. The way Huge sets up the situation when saying, "Let's start where all of this started," introducing the VOD clip the very first thing, he portrays this clip as being relevant to the discussion to the viewer, when in reality it isn't at all. The post merely included a link to the VOD as a source for where the screenshot was taken from. However, the way Archaic carries himself in the clip ends up providing Huge with a position of moral high ground, which he then tries to further solidify when Archaic self-revives multiple times by calling him a D-rank himself, trying to flip the accusation around. While he's correct that this will cost Archaic MMR points and will thus D-rank him, the purpose of Archaic getting up over and over again clearly isn't to lose more MMR. At the very least, it is not the priority. The priority is to trash talk Huuge even more. If D-ranking really was his goal here first and foremost, he would have gotten up the last time he had left as well, most likely. Huuge then closes out this section under another false statement. He basically goes, "Why is this big stream on my game?" And he wanted to make a big deal out of it. Of course he would want this to blow up, and everybody that's giving this attention is doing what he wants. For one, Arcake is not the person who created the post and has yet to indicate that he'd want to make a big deal out of it, actually stating the opposite in the stream VOD later on. However, I'm willing to dismiss that statement based on his conduct alone. Huuge does tie this back to the aforementioned self-victimization by implying that giving this attention is supporting Arcake, which most people would probably be opposed to after witnessing him trash talk Huuge like that. While, again, Arcake as a person and his gameplay are not relevant to the discussion, as the discussion is about Huuge star rating, by making Arcake part of the discussion though, he can dismiss the criticism fairly easily. As can be seen from the top comments on this video at the time of recording this worked extremely well. All of the comments are about Arcake instead of the post. To sum this part up, it's extremely manipulative towards the situation as a whole. Whether by deliberate intent to sway his viewers and suffocate the original criticism is hard to tell for sure. It is, however, very ironic that a video with the word truth capitalized in the title starts off with a very much deliberate lie only 8 seconds into the video. The next segment of the video is where Huuge first addresses the actual criticism of the post, almost halfway through the video. He tries to explain and justify his star rating as shown in the screenshot. This part, however, is also misleading in a few different ways. While his main argument that playing off-meta loadouts results in a non-optimal performance and leads to more deaths and lost matches isn't wrong, it hardly serves to explain the massive drop in stars. He then proceeds to point to one of his recent videos, a clip collection from having played only Spear for an entire week as an explanation, saying, "I just put out a video of me using no weapons and a Spear only." However, again, the screenshot he uses of his own thumbnail for visualization is cropped to exclude the time this video was uploaded. Checking the date ourselves reveals that this video had been uploaded on the 11th of July. The screenshot of Huuge's 3-star rating, however, was taken from Arcake's stream on the 26th of July. That's a lot of time to recover from the MMR crashes this experiment probably caused, making its mention at this point of the video rather meaningless, to be honest. Furthermore, there's a way more recent gameplay video on his channel where he plays the buffed Crag in combination with the Spear again. In addition to the fact that in the Spear video, he does in fact use guns to kill opponents as well after stealing them off of dead hunters, so capitalizing the word only in the Spear only video title seems like a bit of an embellishment as well, which serves him well for what he's arguing here though. All of this being said, this maybe would have been a valid defense before the most recent MMR changes in Hunt's matchmaking system. Crytek adjusted MMR to be less volatile and to be factoring in more than just kills and deaths, overall making a rating less dependent on day-to-day performance and a streak of bad matches. Ranking up or down as a product of just dying a few times is now significantly more difficult than it used to be, especially since we're talking about the loss of 2 to 3 whole stars here. Huuge has a solo MMR of 2 stars in a duo lobby here as a 3-star himself, meaning his solo MMR against trios would at the very least be even further down the 2-star range, if not down to 1.5 stars. To achieve this organically, you'd have to die countless times without getting any return kills whatsoever after the new update. I'm sure it isn't impossible, but extremely unlikely for sure. Especially with his framing that the day before was the day we were having fun, and this screenshot only having been produced in the first game of the next day. One day of fun will not drop you this far after the recent changes. To further solidify this claim, we can also look at a more recent Reddit post asking the users of the subreddit whether they changed their star rating recently at all. While there are a few people explaining that they seem to be stuck on the edge between 2 different star ratings, the vast majority speaks about being stuck in their current MMR, even after multiple bad games. I'll also link this post down in the description below. Here are a few example comments. In the video, he also never concretely mentions his usual rating versus his rating in the screenshots featured in the post. Instead, he refers to the outcome as the less than optimal elo or lower lobbies. A little further into the video, when he compares himself to Calamity and Bushwhacker, he further downplays how far he actually dropped by saying, are they in the absolute 6-star every single game? This again gives the wrong impression that Huuge just wasn't in the absolute 6-star in this situation, which is a massive understatement, really. In the last relevant section of the video, he speaks more on the matters of other streamers doing the same as him, losing MMR due to playing for fun instead of trying their absolute hardest. However, here he again twists the narrative in a way that benefits his argument with facts that are quite unrelated to the discussion itself. He starts off by showcasing a post made on Calamity's post-game screen, showing that Calamity also killed 2 3-star players in one of his games. There are multiple reasons why this post does not really serve as a good example to defend himself here. For one, the post is outdated. It was made prior to the recent MMR changes, and thus the defense, which Huuge even shows in his video, is equally outdated as well. Additionally, the circumstances are different, as having killed 3-star players does not necessarily mean that you are a 3-star player yourself. Quite the contrary, actually. In the screenshot, Calamity was playing as a solo against trios, meaning his MMR modifier is even more harsh than Huuge's. Additionally, there's a quite often upvoted comment backing this up, which Huuge doesn't show, however. Instead, he chooses to show comments with barely any upvotes, and there is a reason for that. The first comments he shows are used to frame Calamity as being immune to criticism due to his nature and personality on stream, essentially implying that this recent attack on Huuge was made due to him being more brash and confrontational than Calamity. He even goes on to explicitly state this later on in the video, quote, "The other guys are the nice guys, but I'm a little more brash and I'm open to talking about how I actually feel about the game." He's essentially framing himself as an outcast and the post as an attack on his persona, rather than his actions in-game, further victimizing himself to his viewers. A quick note and relatively unimportant part of the video, he does also mention the point of 6 stars being an inherent unfun elo to play at, which I'm certain many people do probably agree with, as Huuge points out in his video as well. But to mention this in the same video of where he's defending himself against D-ranking accusations is really just insulting and shows a lack of understanding as for why this topic is debated in this heated fashion in the first place. D-ranking destroys the competitive integrity of the game, especially when done intentionally. There's a reason Crytek made the MMR system more sticky, the recent changes. 6-star is unfun to play, because people are generally speaking pretty good shots up there. People will kill you over the smallest mistake and headshot you with their first bullet. Naturally, that can be frustrating at times when it feels like you don't even really get to play the game against some of these extremely good players. Additionally, the good guns, generally considered meta, expedite this process only further. And while any elo has access to these weapons technically, people generally lack the skill to use them to their full potential the lower you go MMR-wise. This is why there's also a cut-off point where bringing fun loadouts will not de-rank you even further, simply because even if you are carrying a niche weapon, as long as you utilize it with the game knowledge of a high-skilled player, eventually you'll meet a breaking point where you can overpower your opponents regardless. A good example for exactly this, actually, is the Annoyed One series where he downranks to 1-star MMR, eventually reaching a point where he kills opponents by burning them out entirely while alive with the hand crossbow Dragon Bolt. Why? Simply because he knows how to utilize this kit effectively. That's why D-ranking is a problem. The by far most distasteful thing in the response is the ending. Here, Huuge encourages his viewers to pressure other streamers into showing their MMR. This is simply antithetical to the whole theme of the video, having to defend himself against false accusations, as he frames it. Instead of an appeal to his viewers to think twice before calling someone out, or to not entice a witch hunt like he has fallen victim to in his eyes, he openly advocates for spreading that witch hunt to other streamers who have nothing to do with the situation, further implying that if a streamer chooses to ignore these attempts at pressuring them into something, they must be D-ranking themselves, which is honestly very disappointing. It's disappointing to me because I don't hate Huuge. I don't particularly enjoy his content, but for me personally, this means to just not watch him and that's it. So why did I make this video? For one, I think there are many examples in this video of what to look out for in YouTube responses in general when someone may try to manipulate you or the facts. Additionally, I feel obliged to make this video for the attempt to spread toxicity into other streams and communities, which I personally find incredibly petty and not deserving of an audience, to be honest. This is to serve as an example for that just because someone is playing the victim, they aren't necessarily that. But I hope I could convey something interesting to you, and you have a great day. See you when I decide something else is worth ranting on. Until then, happy hunting.